What can fans expect going into season 3, 4? What do you consider this actually? Do you consider this?
We considered season 3 since the prequel is kind of its own thing.
Right.
It's all very confusing. If you say season 3 or 4, the final season will probably cover it.
Right.
You know, the fans can expect what they've always expected from Spartacus, which is first and foremost to be entertained. I mean, that's our job number one, is to make sure everyone is massively entertained by this show. Beyond that, they can expect the wrap-up to the story. And anybody that knows anything about history kind of knows how it wraps up, but the tricky part is to make that inevitable ending thrilling and exciting and surprising. And there are many, many surprises that I think the fans won't see coming this season.
Right. You know, I watched the first 2 episodes. One thing that's interesting is you had Glauber the last couple of seasons, who was there from day one. You know, Spartacus knew, hated him, but now you've got 2 people who he doesn't have a relationship with. Does that make it a little bit harder to structure the season because they don't have that animosity built in just yet?
It was difficult approaching Spartacus when he's never met his antagonist. But from the beginning of the show in the first season, I've been setting up this idea of Marcus Crassus. Everybody whispers his name. He's like the Roman boogeyman. And you know, we looked high and low, and thankfully we found Simon Mirrells hiding out in the UK, who is just phenomenal as Crassus. And we wanted to build a different kind of animal going after Spartacus, somebody that respects him and understands that he has a keen mind, even though he's a slave.
Right.
And then we threw in Julius Caesar, because we had this crazy idea in the writers' room. What about like a hot young Caesar? There's something we've never seen. So we call up our historical consultants and says, hey, what about hot Caesar? Would we begin completely breaking history? And they said, well, actually, no. At this time period, he was right around 29 years old. He would have been coming back from helping Antonius with the pirates, and it would be completely keeping in history. Nobody really knows what he was doing in this couple of years of time frame, and a lot of people speculate that he may have, in fact, been a tribune under Crassus going after Spartacus. So bizarrely, our crazy idea about bringing in Caesar actually lined up with history.
Does it ever surprise you the kind of fans you have for this show? I'll tell you this. I got my 65-year-old mother to watch the first season, and she said, please tell him tonight, a little too much nudity for me, but she really got into the story. Does it ever surprise you when you hear about the fan base?
I was very surprised, because obviously on the surface you think it goes for that young male audience, but we had always actually planned not to go for any audience, which I think is a secret. We just wanted to tell the story we wanted to tell as well as we could tell it. And I was very surprised and extremely happy to find out that it had such a wider fan base, particularly among women, which I thought was just fantastic.
You know, you're ending the show on your own terms, and some would even say earlier than people would expect.
Yes.
How did you sort of negotiate that with STARZ when this is arguably their signature show?
You know, it was really a mutual decision. We just looked at where we were going, where we have been. Part of it was, you know, obviously the economics of doing a show like this gets exponentially more expensive. You can tell from the first episode of this season is that it looks more expensive because it is more expensive. Also, we looked at the history and what happened, and the fact that it would be very hard not to repeat ourselves following history. And I didn't want to completely break with history and make it a fantasy of what happened. So all of those elements came together, and we really thought, wouldn't it be great to be able to end a show on a high note and leave the fans wanting more, instead of dragging it out for another 3 years and just having it kind of peter off. So, and I'm incredibly proud of the finale. The season finale, I think, is just going to blow people away. It is truly amazing.
Thank you.